Hello Pisces, and welcome to your bi-weekly tarot reading. So this is for Pisces sun or rising signs, and we are looking at the period of time from the full moon to the new moon. So from the full moon, which is going to be in Sagittarius and tropical astrology, to the new moon in Gemini on the 17th, which is also tropical astrology. We're going to be doing a little bit of a different spread for this particular phase of the moon, trying out something different. It might make the videos, it seems like it's making them a little bit longer, but we are going to look at what is coming up as a blockage, like a shadow, a limiting belief that is, keeping you from creating the life or the lifestyle that you're wishing to create in whichever area that is, whether that's life or business or whatever it is, right? So wherever that makes sense for you. But this is like looking at the linchpin, right? Like, what is the linchpin? What is the thing? And then also taking a look at what spiritual advice there is for how you can start to move this energy, start to get it to move and start to get it to clear out, how you can start to face it and work with it, right? And then we're also looking at with a new deck. I'm so excited. So we're looking at the, first what is blocking, but then we're looking at also how you can be in action, how to align your actions with what you say you want to create, with what you say you're committed to in terms of your values. Like there are tons of times where, like myself included, say that I want to create a certain thing, or that I want to do a certain thing, or that I hold certain values, and then just kind of habitually fall back into certain places, like certain ways of doing things that are not really serving that new vision, or are not really serving the values that I say I hold true. So we're just going to take a look at that. And again, this is like a new style. After seeing like that it is extending the videos as much as it is, I'm kind of thinking like I might change this format again next month. But I'd like to change it up every once in a while. So yeah, so we did it this time. We'll see if it happens for next time. By the way, I haven't looked through all of these cards, so like I'm actually experiencing them one at a time as they come up with you guys, so it's kind of really cool unfolding. Okay, so we'll start up with the shadow card and then work our way down into here. Let me just adjust the camera here really quickly. I had to come back. My cat was doing something crazy. I had to get up and change that. So, all right. You might have seen a light change. Okay. So first, let's take a look at the shadow. And what we see here is the shadow called the Triumph of Lies. And this particular card has to deal with like the ways in which we, like we all wear different facets of our personality as masks when we're out in the world, right? Like who we are inside of our like most closest circle of friends, to who we are in the realm of like business or career, to who we are with our family, who we are with our lover, right? Like how it changes like the different facets of our self that come out or that are present. But also sometimes there's a way of wearing masks or a mask in the world or in these groups of people where we hide so much of our true selves that we start to identify with this mask that we're wearing all of the time, and we start to mistake ourselves for the mask. In essence, we're lying to ourselves, right? We end up lying to ourselves in these ways where we think we're the mask. It's kind of like the way that we tell ourselves little white lies internally, and then we eventually start to believe them because we just have been lying to ourselves for so long, and it started out really small, but then it becomes bigger and bigger and snowballs, and the next thing you know, we're really lying to ourselves about who we are, about what we want, and we are obscured, and so our essence, our sense of self is obscured in this place. And so it's being pointed out that there's a need to look at that. And given that your spiritual advice is the Six of Pentacles, which has to do with like the imbalance that comes from give and take situations, whether you're the person who is on the take and you are gobbling up more than what is your fair share, or whether you're someone who is over giving and you're giving out of a sense of maybe obligation or whatever reasonable reasons you have in your mind, because you want to be a nice person, because that's what nice people do, because whatever it is, right? And like relating this back to the mask, right? Perhaps in that scenario, right, like the overgiving, because of thinking like, well, that's what nice people do, that's what I'm supposed to do, that's what a good girl does, that's what a, like, whatever it is, whatever that version is, whatever that mask is, realizing that, you know, there is this imbalance in the either a connection specifically or the connections that you have right now. Again, we're looking at like, what is blocking you from creating the life that you want? Apply that to whichever area feels most resonant for you. If this is about relationship, like a romantic relationship, apply that to relationship. What kinds of masks are you wearing that are contributing to an imbalance in the connection, in the way that you feel the relationship is working or not working for you, in how you show up and how the other person shows up? You know, do you feel like they're really putting it in? Is it reciprocated, right? And are you wearing a mask to smooth things over, to be the nice person, to make things good, right? That's just one example. You can apply this to business, you can apply it to whatever it applies to. And then we have what in contrast, right? So we looked at like, well, what is stopping you? And then now we're looking at, well, like, how can you be in action to be more aligned with your values and the life that you want to create? I find it interesting that you have the moon card that is showing up with this, because the moon card can often illuminate the shadows that we have that are going on, right? It reflects the cards around it. And here, this is what we're seeing, is I feel like it's reflecting this aspect of the shadow. You know, like when the full moon comes out, not only does it cast a strong light, but it casts a strong light. It means it casts pretty strong shadows too. And things cannot remain hidden in the shadows for very long. Eventually they must come to light. And so, you know, this card can have to do with like fear, but also the fear because of not facing something that we're afraid to look at, or that hurts to look at, or feels uncomfortable to look at, you know. And it's about having the courage to stand in the light of the moon and to feel it in its fullness, right? The moon is about feeling. And so having the ability to feel the immensity. I mean, like, I kind of love that they have like this huge koi fish that is going through, or I don't know if it's supposed to be a koi fish, but it looks like it to me. And they have it going through these huge waters, creating this big splash, right? And it's just like the immensity of what our shadows feel like sometimes feels like overwhelming. It can feel like this massive thing, not necessarily like a monster, but like, you know, this megalithic fish, right? It can feel immense and overwhelming. And what there is for you to do is to be with this, right? To feel it through, to face it, to recognize it, to start to work with these feelings, with these experiences, so that you can make those changes. Because unless we're aware of them, unless we're really aware, not like, oh yeah, I'm kind of aware of that, it's in the background, but really aware of these things, unless we're really aware of that, we're not really going to like be able to be in alignment or create the life that we want, right? Like, you can see that, right? So then we move into like what other advice you have for this 2-week blip of time that we're in. And we have the Hermit card, you know. So I think like it definitely works with the waning energy of the moon, even though like if you're in the, you know, United States, for instance, in like this part of the world, it's summertime and, you know, it's like everyone's out and all the things. So it feels kind of strange to say like this is a more internal kind of time, but let's just say that there's a way to balance being external and in the light and being summertime, and also creating space and time for you to go inward. You know, you can do both. So this is about facing and feeling and creating the space and the time to feel into and ask yourself the big picture questions, you know, because when you are asking yourself, when you reevaluate your values, when you are looking at these things full face on, right? And you're asking like, what is it that I really and truly feel I want? What is it that I really value? Is the life that I've been working towards creating still what I even want anymore? Does that even feel good to me? Or do I need to adjust the vision in some way, or totally scrap it and like create a whole new one, right? Asking ourselves these big picture questions. What do I want? Is it still what I've wanted, or do I want something different now? What feels good to me now? How have I grown? And maybe how have like my values shifted? And when we can have that kind of clarity, we develop this kind of like, that's what I like about that lamp, right? That's our internal guiding light. We develop like this ability to trust that vision, that internal guiding light, because we spent time and attention on that, and it illuminates the path, we're able to see our masks and our shadows and what's out of balance, and we're able to work with it in a different way to make changes from a more grounded place. Because when you're grounded in what you truly want and what really feels good to you and where you're really headed on your path, then everything starts to align with that when we take actions that are grounded from that place, right? So I feel like this is definitely very clear reading. If you felt like it was insightful, please consider giving the video a like. It helps the channel. And also, if you want to know about when these videos drop, definitely hit the subscribe and notification bell so that you know when all of the astrology and the tarot videos drop. So I'll have up on the screen the video for the astrology highlights for the first half of June. So that's time-stamped. You can skip ahead to whatever date you want. And then I'll also have the video for the overall month for Pisces, so that you guys can maybe look at like how this story fits into the overall bigger macro story. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for your time. I will see you in the next video. Bye.